Today we get to see an incredibly proficient and effective use of the beanbag shotgun. Hi friends, welcome to today's bonus badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host as always, John Correa. With me, veteran 30-year law enforcement officer Mike Williver.
Today's video comes to us from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California.
Dark Star Gear is one of the few companies that I trust to make holsters that I wear. They make high-quality appendix carry holsters for a variety of firearms manufacturers. Check them out at the link in the description. Officers have been called here by the bystander who is in the vehicle to the very left of our screen here, who has said that there is an aggressive dog off leash and unsecured in the neighborhood in the house across the street in the yard there with the gate open. Let's listen in from here.
Yeah, do you live here? Where do you live at?
I was visiting somebody at Van.
Oh.
So I've been waiting here for anybody because I couldn't drive away without any dog.
Okay, well, we'll handle it. You don't have to be here if you don't need to.
Yeah, if I
so
don't need to,
we're not going to leave unless this dog is secured.
Perfect. And that's what
And if it's not secured, we'll get animal control out here or something.
Okay, but there's cars in the driveway, and I don't know if you got locked out from that
we'll figure it out.
So cool. Okay.
Okay. Take care, miss.
There he is. Get back, dude.
Get back. Come here.
Get back, dude.
You got the badge on you? Back up! Your dogs need to be secured.
Hey, your dog's gotta be secure, bro.
Go secure your... Is this your dog? Go secure your dog right now. Mav, go back inside with the baby, please.
21X46, can I get a supervisor and one additional unit?
Get back, dude.
Back up.
Back up! Your dog's gonna be secured.
Hey, your dog's gotta be secure, bro. Thing just attacked me.
Is this your dog? Go secure your dog right now. Mav, go back inside with the baby, please.
The homeowners actually had a security camera as well on the front door, so you can see on the top left the officers approaching here. You can't really see the dog because the dog is on the other side, but one of the things that you're going to notice here, dog is at the very front of the car now. You can see the dog to our right. When the dog advances, the officers are going to back up a little bit, shoot the dog with the beanbag round. We do actually have a picture here of what the beanbag round did to that pupper's head. The dog is, though, expected to make a full recovery. The dog owner, very frustrated with local law enforcement on this one, says that they hunted his dog and had no justification to shoot him, and we're going to talk about it. You know, Mike, we don't do a lot on the beanbag shotgun here on badge camps, but we do teach the shotgun at the ASP National Conference.
The Nash Hospital? The ASP National Conference. Easy for you to say. Yeah, if you can get out there to Kansas this year, it's going to be an absolute blast, some of the best training you'll ever get, and it's a super duper bargain, and you're helping foster teens.
Yep, link in the description. Come join us. Mike, I think it's interesting here that the call goes out to local law enforcement and not to animal control to deal with this dog. But I think that if it's an aggressive, larger dog, whatever, if a member of the public felt like they were at risk from being bit by the dog or something like that, then maybe that's why the police get called. And of course, the cops get called for something like this. They can't just go, nope, sorry, not our problem, and heck off. They got to respond.
There are a number of reasons why police might be the first responder to a thing like this. First of all, if the dog is dangerous, and I don't know if the dog's dangerous or not, necessarily, but someone called, there is a dog, the dog did, as we saw in the video, the dog did aggress the officers earlier on. The reason they're there, A, is because there's no one else who can handle it other than animal control, and animal control doesn't have 30 officers in that area like the police do. They might have one animal control officer for half of LA or whatever. I don't know what their staffing numbers are like, but frequently they're not as well staffed as the police. So the police are the logical choice to be the first responders to this. And maybe if they can contain the dog, animal control can make their way there. Animal control can't roll code through. There's a lot of reasons.
Yeah, well, and okay, so now they've made contact with the dog. So now I see this relatively large, it's probably a 60-pound dog, something like that, 50, 60-pound dog. That is, in the yard. You can see that the gate is open. It's not closed like you would want it to be. And so, yeah, this is an unsecured dog. But I know some folks are going to ask, Mike, would it have been okay? Would it have been smarter to slow your roll here and to not, push in? And I know they want to make contact with the homeowners to get them to take care of their dog, but would it have been better here to maybe call out, to try to maybe use dispatch and stay here on the sidewalk and not walk onto the property? What do you think?
There's two ways to look at this, John. One is that officers, I know when I was active in law enforcement, you kind of want to get in and handle things and, get up close and contain the situation, et cetera, et cetera. They were probably thinking, if we're all the way out here, the dog can get past us and go bite a kid, go bite a mailman, or whatever the case might be. Yeah, it's possible they could have waited out here. I think either option is really acceptable. I don't love that this happened to the dog, but I guarantee you this dog's probably an escape artist. I think we've all had an escape artist dog who's supposed to be in the backyard and finds a way out. So it's possible the owners didn't even know he's in the front yard. These officers show up. There's no human to make contact with. I feel like they did what they felt was right, which is to get in close and contain the animal, make sure he couldn't get past him and hurt somebody.
Yeah, and again, I think, so it's a thing for officers, right? Officers, ask yourself the question, do I have to push forward here? Or would it be smarter for me to slow my roll? And if there's a compelling reason to move forward, move forward. If there's not, maybe it might be worth slowing your roll. But a tough thing to say in this particular situation. I get it, right? I don't want this dog to go and hurt somebody else. I want to get to the front door and knock on the front door so that, or make contact with the people inside the house to get them to grab the dog and put it in the backyard, simply so that it's not a problem anymore. And nobody's going to be in trouble or nothing like that. I'm just going to go, yo, man, make sure that your back door is closed, would you? Because your neighbors are getting frustrated. But sometimes you got to just push in, and it looks like that's what they did here. And okay, fine. Now, is a dog here, a reasonable threat of deadly force to a regular person? I think the answer to that is yes. If an aggressive dog comes and bites you, you're going to the hospital for stitches, and that is the definition of great bodily harm. So being a little bit worried about that, absolutely. And watching the dog here, hey, I got to get to the front door, or that's the choice they've made. And now this dog is going to come and start to charge them. Now, I don't necessarily think it's evil, Mike, that the dog might think, oh, wait a minute, no, they're aggressing on my space and I don't know who they are. But honestly, a dog charging you like this, if they had used deadly force, I think that would have been justified in this case.
Two things. I've had a red-nosed pit bull in my house who was the world's friendliest, best girl ever, and I understand both sides of the pit bull argument. I've been chased by them, and I've had one in my house who I love dearly. And the problem here is they don't know this dog. The dog doesn't know them. The dog's kind of doing its job to keep whoever these people are from getting close to their owner, to keep them off their property. The problem here lies with the homeowner, where the owner of the dog needed to have had this dog under control and contained in the backyard or contained in the house. Once the dog's out like this, there's really not a lot of options they have. The dog is approaching them aggressively, and believe me when I tell you, you do not want to get bitten by a pit bull or a dog of this size. If that dog catches you in the femoral artery, you could be in a bad spot.
I think it's also interesting here that the dog pulled up and they didn't shoot, and then so the officer here waits, and when the dog makes another advance, that's when he fires. And I think this is actually a valiant attempt to save the life of this dog. Had one of these officers, either one of them, fired his service weapon at this dog, I think that you can reasonably, objectively say this dog was coming at me and had closed all my space, but instead this officer decides, hey, I'm going to use the beanbag round here and do everything I can. And yeah, he bonks him right on the head with it from fairly close range, but this is a very small target here. And so I think, actually, Mike, I think he should be applauded for this and not castigated.
There's a lot of people who think that all the cops want to do is shoot their dog, and this just nothing could be further from the truth.
These guys aren't ATF agents.
Most cops that I know most cops that I know, hey, I know people in the ATF. They're good. All right, never mind. Most cops are dog owners, one way or another, and they're not looking to shoot your dog. They're not looking to harm your dog. The fact, like you said, the fact that he had the less lethal shotgun and was willing to risk bodily injury to use that instead of a firearm tells me, and the other officer has his PR-24 out. We'll talk about that in a minute. The fact they had doing these things tells me they wanted to do everything they could to prevent seriously injuring or killing this dog.
Yeah, and again, so I think that was probably the best choice. Finally, the owner comes out and they're able to kind of talk to him and go, hey man, get your dog and take care of him, and good on him for that. Now, let's think about the officer, the badge cam with the beanbag rounds. Number one, you know I'm going to say it, Mike, is that he's got that dangly bit of fabric there known as a sling, and I would recommend that you use that sling whenever you have one on a long gun. Remember, a sling is to a long gun like a holster is to a handgun. You can get that over your neck. That, God forbid, then if that beanbag did not work and you have to use your own firearm to defend yourself, you can drop that shotgun. It doesn't clack on the deck and go to your handgun. And so, man, I think that that's a critical thing. And I don't understand why more cops don't use the slings on their long guns, Mike.
I don't know if it's a training issue. They're not trained to use it. I find it hard to believe, especially LAPD, that they're not trained to use their slings. So it could be there was some sense of urgency on his part where he didn't think he had time, but it just takes a second, guys. If you're any kind of long gun, if you're gonna deploy that in the field, just throw the strap on. Like John said, if you have to go hands-on, or God forbid someone else gets hurt and you need to break out your first aid kit or whatever, you don't want to have to chuck this thing, especially a shotgun, because as you know, shotguns like this don't have any kind of block in the firing pin, and they can discharge. If you throw them down and they hit the right way, they'll discharge on their own. So we want to avoid that at all costs.
And credit where credit is due, I do think that this officer does a really good job of watching his muzzle. And again, muzzle discipline, practiced and practiced and practiced, comes out in the street, comes out in the real world. And this officer did a very good job of that, of not muzzling his partner. It would have been really easy for him to just take a step backwards, keep the muzzle of his beanbag shotgun up, and maybe even make the argument that it's not a firearm or whatever. But I'll guarantee you, you shoot your partner in the hamstring with a beanbag shotgun from 3 feet, and you're going to have a discussion.
Absolutely. We talk about muzzle discipline all the time, just like trigger discipline. It needs to be something that you practice so much that you don't have to think about it. So when you're under stress, it's an unconsciously competent behavior on your part is to dip the shotgun. He did just that.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. And one more thing here I will note is that it takes him from the time that his shot breaks to the time that he starts to, that he ejects the round, racks the shotgun, as they say, is about 4 seconds. And remember, if you're running a pump action shotgun, the second that gun goes off, it is now a stick. You need to then immediately, especially on an 870 pattern shotgun like this, that's a Remington 870 pattern shotgun, and that's a fantastic, pump action shotgun. But you got to beat that shotgun like it stole something from you. And the second that gun goes off, you got to run that action hard to get another round in the chamber. Now, it looked to me, Mike, like he maybe had a hard time actually actuating that, which sometimes with these less lethal rounds you can have because they've been sitting around a long time.
Yeah, I taught a shotgun class in my former agency. I'm a big fan of the shotgun. It's a very versatile all-around weapon. But you're right when you said you got to treat this thing harshly. You got to beat it like a rented mule because it's frequently going to get caught up. It's not going to do what you want it to do right away. It's not a ginger weapon. You need to be, I didn't mean redheaded people, by the way. I meant treating it gingerly. You have to be violent with a shotgun to get it to cycle. Now, I think probably he was watching the dog run away at light speed after that first round went off, and he's like, wow, that worked really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, another thing that needs to be trained so much you can't not do it.
Now, and again, as we end here, and I got great empathy for dogs. I'm a dog lover myself. So I see this, and I see this makes the news. This came off of a news story here. And of course you go, oh man, you never want to have that or whatever. But quite frankly, I put this not on the cops, but on the owner of making sure, hey man, you got to make sure your dog is secure. You got to make sure if your dog is barking that you go take a look and see what the heck is going on rather than just sit in the house. And I don't blame the cops for this one. And in fact, I think they kind of deserve a good bit of credit simply for using the less lethal in this case.
Agreed 100%. I'm sure he's a good boy.